Hello YouTubers. In this video we're going to be working on an oil leak. So recently the truck has been showing signs of an oil leak around the perimeter of the oil pan. And we're getting ready to review it because I changed the oil about 200 miles ago. So I've since been stocking up some parts to do the job, but I don't think I'm going to need all of this. So what I bought is an oil pan gasket, some gasket sealer, maker, whatever. And anytime you drop in the oil pan on these cars, you may as well buy an O-ring for the oil pickup tube. So bought a new one of those, but I have a feeling this is going to be my problem. This is the crankshaft position sensor for the truck. It goes above the starter motor on the side of the engine. And I think this is really what's leaking down along the perimeter of the oil pan. But we're going to start with this one first. Another video we may be taking on this, but not there today. I think this is our job today. So we're going to be replacing the crankcase position sensor. So let's get under the truck, take a look, and make sure that we are indeed going down the right path first. Okay, the tools for this, we're going to need gloves, because if there's an oil leak and you've been going for a while, you're going to come into crud. So crud, gloves, brake cleaner, that's so I could clean around the area again, so that when I'm done with this, it should be nice and clean. That way I can see if new oil appears, I'm not looking at what was left behind after I changed the sensor. I'm looking at a fresh surface, and brake cleaner is going to clean those surfaces for me. An assortment of extensions. If you have a longer extensions, great. I don't. This is what I have, so I had to cobble together what I got. I used a 1/4 inch ratchet and an extension and a 1/4 inch 10 millimeter to get the dust cover off the side of the motor. Then I brought a 10 millimeter 3/8 just in case I needed it for something else, especially on the sensor itself, because it takes a 10 millimeter to get the sensor out, this is the old guy. Then 13 millimeter. Again, I brought an assortment just in case. Torque wrench for this one here. This to take the starter bolts out so I could drop the starter from the motor. And yeah, so these are the tools you need. Torque wrench if you want to torque it, otherwise starter bolts tight, 37 foot-pounds. Gosh, I can't remember what the sensor bolt was. Anyway, to be on the screen, yeah, so these are the tools you need. Okay, so here's the underside of the truck. So we have a oil dripping, not a lot, but right here, it's a little bit on the driver's side, but as I look at it, the driver's side looks pretty good. I also have already changed this filter some time back. That doesn't appear to be an issue. I just think that the starter is dirty and there's oil there. So I'm really thinking I'm gonna have to remove this plate here, remove the starter, and the crankcase position sensor is right above it. So I feel like the oil is coming this way, working its way down to here. If I look in here, some oil, but that could be making its way again from here somehow inside, but I just don't see like an accumulation like it would be the rear main seal. I would expect to see filth all in there as well, but I don't. So I'm not thinking it's the rear main seal. I'm gonna start here. So first thing to do is get this shield here off, and we'll get the starter out. So let me get the tools and we'll get going. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to disconnect the battery, because the starter is going straight to it, and there's going to be a lot of juice flowing. So as we move the starter out of our way, or remove it altogether, we want to make sure that we're not connected to the battery. So let's get this out. So the dust shield here takes a 10 millimeter. Let me get that out. Next step, we need to get a 13 millimeter onto those two bolts, and that should break the starter a bit. We should be able to move the starter out of our way and get access to the crankcase position center sensor sitting right above it. Okay, the starter's out of the way. All I did was just, backed it out of the flywheel and just let it kind of hang right here. No need to take it apart any further, because the part we need is right there. So as you can see, let me see if I can get to it. We're gonna undo the clasp there, pull it back, and then behind it is a bolt. I don't know what size just yet, but I will let you know. Looks like a 10. So let me undo this and get a 10 in there, and we'll pull the sensor out. I'm looking at this sensor here too. I'm not sure what that is, but it's dry right underneath it, so that doesn't appear to be a problem. Here's the dipstick. It too doesn't appear to be a problem. There's no oil there, but just feel like the weepage is coming from there. So let me get the 10 millimeter, and it should just pull straight out. Okay, got it loose. Got the bolt. Come on. Oh, not the bolt, that's fine. There we go. So the part is out. I don't see anything that tells me it's a problem, but that's where it goes. That's where I'm going to put the new one back. So I've already greased the O-ring, but I want to clean all of this. You guys know me, I like to have the bottom side as clean as the top side. And my OCD, that's getting at me. So let me get that cleaned up. Clean this up with some brake cleaner. Being careful not to spray it on the block, but on the rag, and wipe all this stuff down. That way, the next time I get underneath here in a couple 100 more miles, if it's wet, I'll know why. And it won't be because I left it wet. Well, you probably can't tell a whole lot, but it's as clean as I can get it without going too aggressive with it. I'm not looking to cause more problems. So let me put the new sensor in. Here it is. All nice and lubed. It fits. I hope that O-ring does the job. Anyway. There's the bolt. All right, she's in. Let me snug her up. I'll put the torque specs on the screen now, and I'm going to torque it to that. There it is, snugged up and reconnected. So everything's good to go. So let's get the starter. So when I put the starter back in place, I'm just going to can't do it one-handed. Couldn't take it out one-handed, can't put it in one-handed. So I'm just going to bring it back into this cavity here, put the dust shield back over top of it, and then slide it into the firewall or flywheel. Anyway, it's you see the two bolt holes. This thing can only line up one way. There's a bolt hole, there's a bolt hole. So anyway, line it up, put the 2 screws in, and I'll give you the torque specs for it too. I found it easier to do it this way. So slide the starter all the way up in there, start your bolts. Now it's locked into place. It's so rigid it cannot move left, right, forward, back, nothing, but it can drop. So right now it's in the right spot. So what I'm going to do now is grab my socket wrench, put the 13 on that, and bring it up, and then that should be it. And then I'll be torquing it again. I'll put the torque specs on here. So yeah, just don't forget your dust shield. Push this thing up into place, and that's it. Everything's back in place, all snugged up. 37 foot-pounds here, just tight here. That's just holding in place. Yeah. Let's see if it leaks, or if it's bad. First crank. And just for those that want to know, 283,000 miles on this truck. Cut off the AC, just to be sure. The crankcase position sensor is working, or it wouldn't be turning over. Again, I'm thinking this was the problem all along. Really wasn't the oil pan, but we'll see. So I've driven it 100 or so miles, and I'm still getting some weepage. Be that I have an oil pan leak, oil pan gasket leak, somewhere in this corner. Because I'm hoping, like Hades, that I do not have an issue with the rear main seal. I just don't think I do, because when you pry open this guy, there's just some gook, but it's pretty damn clean. Doesn't mean there's not a rear main seal. It just means I'm not seeing signs of it in here. So we still got an issue. I'm going to drive it a few hundred more miles. I got to go to Kentucky here in the next few days. That'll be a 400-mile road trip, and I'll give it a check then. Hopefully I won't wipe it off before I can record it, and you can see whatever oil is on the setup here. I decided to check after my trip to Kentucky, not during my trip to Kentucky. So we're about to learn the fate of this together. Still dripping. This is from last night, I guess. Anyway, I don't think I licked it. I think it's still an issue. So I think the next step then, like I had originally planned, I was hoping it was just going to be the one thing, the crank position sensor. That is not going to be the case. So anyway, I still think it's right here in the back corner. Made sense at the time. Anyway, so I do have the oil kit, oil pan, gasket, and the O-ring for the oil pickup tube. So That'll be in a future video coming to you soon. Anyway, YouTubers, if you like the video, like the video.